What's up, outliers? What is all this drama about Tesla, Mark Rober, and then LAZR? Well, we're going to take a quick look at it today. I want to spend a little more time actually focusing primarily on the technology, the, different conjecture around what's going on with this. We'll talk a little bit about that, but I think the bigger picture here is actually a discussion about the technology. So let's see what this is.
I don't have high hopes here.
But would the kid look just as cool after the Tesla test?
Oh, fudge! Oh.
Bam. So here's what's going on in this video as far as I can tell. A lot of people are saying that Mark Rober, purposely did this to try to crash Tesla or to try to make LAZR, which is a primary producer of LiDAR, go off the charts. And there's a lot to this story, and I'm not going to pretend to be completely read in on it all, but there's a couple things to note right out of the gate. The majority of this video is actually about LiDAR technology. He actually spends the first half discussing the technology, how cool it is, the kind of things that he can do, taking it to Disneyland and using it to map some of the different rides. So a lot of it is literally just about the technology. Then the second part of it is obviously just designed to get clicks, right? That's why we brought Tesla into this. That's why we said something, can you fool a self-driving car? And that's also why we framed it as, can you fool? Because if you take a look at the tests that they did, right, there's a couple, 6 different scenarios. The scenarios that they picked were like really extreme. They were things that I don't think really represent what you expect to see in an average day driving, and nor is it designed to be. Like, I view this as a test. So we're purposely picking things that represent extremes. Now, that being said, I do find some of the criticisms to be probably worthwhile, because this does make Tesla to the lay viewer look a little bit worse. And I also think it's a little strange, the criticism that he wasn't using the full autonomous driving capability and is simply using the assisted driving, which is a slightly different set of skills. I actually watched a video where he had a conversation with somebody about that, and he effectively said, I didn't think there was a big difference in the technology, which he generally does, like really robust scientific experiments. So it surprises me that he wouldn't make the assumption of, well, let me just try it with full self-driving and then assisted driving and see if there's a difference between those, right? Like, if I were testing it, that's the angle I would take it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But all that being said, after watching the video, at no point did I get the sensation that he's trying to crash Tesla or even, moon Luminar. Now, one of the things to note is this dude that's driving the car that has LiDAR technology, you can tell is obviously repping Luminar. He's repping the set. So what does that tell us? Well, it tells us that Mark is absolutely promoting this company. Now, one of the things I've seen thrown around is people conjecturing that he has long financial interest in Luminar, short financial interest in Tesla, or a combination thereof. I've not seen any conclusive evidence of either. So I reserve judgment until I know one way or the other. I think the speculation is fine. That's a natural thing to assume that could be happening. But regardless if he has a financial stake in any of this aside, he still clearly is promoting this company, right? That's why this person, again, is wearing the company t-shirt and talking about not just the technology, because LiDAR is made by a bunch of different companies. So that is clear here. All of that stuff aside, is interesting to see how quick people kind of assume the worst about folks and take it to a really ugly place. I generally like Mark Rober. I think the work he does is pretty cool. I do have some questions about the broader efficacy and, the tests that he did. I would give him the benefit of the doubt in the sense that I don't think he purposely would try to run really bad tests, because again, like, you get called out for it, and he's smart enough to know that. So that stuff aside, we actually spent a while taking a look at the difference between LiDAR technology and different kinds of self-driving technology suites, and actually found some cool things. So let's take a look. This is from our friendly AI assistant, also known as ChatGPT. And I essentially asked it to compare the current primary technology being used in autonomous driving vehicles, different companies that are using different kinds, and to essentially compare and contrast. And we can see that one of the big differences, which, by the way, Tesla dominantly is using cameras, and places like Waymo, Mercedes, Aurora, they're using LiDAR. And one of the things to note is Mercedes is a premium vehicle class, and what they tend to produce is more expensive. Now, I want to be clear, this is not me promoting any of these companies in any way. I actually currently don't have a position in anything here. But I just want to talk about the technology. And the technology here, I think, is really interesting because one of the curious changes that's happening is rather than relying on one technology dominant, and Tesla's initial imperative, obviously, was to try to create something that was first of its kind, cost available to a lot of people, and mass producible. Whereas if you take a look at the picture of something like Mercedes, which is definitely a much higher end vehicle, more on the premium side of things. So what companies are doing now, though, that I actually find to be very smart, but also interesting, is a lot of them are running a blend of different technologies. So you can see that they're using LiDAR for certain use cases, radar for certain use cases, and cameras. And what you can do is create a really robust capability suite, but manage cost. Now, a really interesting inclusion here is the AI technology that Tesla is looking to integrate, and that might even change the landscape even further. Now, I think if we think about the longer term future of self-driving vehicles, and we go back to, this video, like the near-term effect is one thing in terms of the stock prices, which I do think that there is some effect that we can observe. But the longer term effect, even of a partial study or a study that's really done in very clear extremes, is also kind of helpful for the broader landscape. And it's even helpful for Tesla because they can see things like this and use it to optimize their company and their technology if they're so inclined. But this is what I mean by extremes, right? Like, take a look at this. This is essentially seeing if you would stop the car, would stop, detect this small person, and then it's obviously like a mannequin, and if it would stop before striking them. And like, just take a look, right? They're using water trucks to directly dump the water cross-directionally onto the thing. So this is what I mean by the tests that were done in like really extreme scenarios that I genuinely don't believe represent day-to-day driving. So this, even as a assessment of the capability of the technology in a full self-driving suite, is completely different. Moreover than that, there's a difference between crash detection and prevention in full driving, right? Full driving includes things like changing lanes by monitoring your speed, adjusting your speed based on what it can see and things like that. The information received to make those decisions obviously is super important, but it's not like this car right here, even though it might have crash detection capabilities upgraded to it, right? So that it can see this and stop. It's not a full self-driving car, right? They're different things. So the conjecture around, did Mark Rober do this for some sort of financial gain or whatever? Honestly, don't know. And it doesn't matter to me that much because I can also look at a study like a rational person and understand the context that it's being done in. That being said, the market, as always, never ceases to amaze. So if we take a look at the difference here between Tesla and LAZR, Tesla's been getting crushed, and Tesla's been getting crushed for some time now. This absolutely will not help. And then if we take a look at LAZR got a massive bump. You can see the 14th here. If we take a look at when this video came out, it was on the 15th. So here's the 14th, which is Friday. The 15th is over the weekend, and then take a look at the 17th, and then take a look at the 18th. Here's the most interesting part about this whole thing, and the fact that I love options markets because they tell us a whole lot. If we take a look at the one-day premium flow, specifically for the call side, not a whole lot to write home about, right? Kind of quiet, nothing really sticking out at me. But as soon as we zoom this out, what do you notice? Pretty quiet for the last week, And then on the 17th, all of a sudden, call premium skyrockets. This is people playing that news. They're playing that movement. And then take a look at what happens today. People are dumping. This is people selling these calls into strength and realizing their profits to go trade another thing. It's a really funny and fun trade idea. But the broader context here, I think, from the technology standpoint, is it's pretty neat to see the different kinds of technology that exist and how they're being integrated into the automotive sphere. But it's also really fun to see the market impact on a smaller company like LAZR and see how profound it absolutely can distort short-term price by shifting sentiment. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. Be an outlier. See you later.